In the bustling and lively towns and cities, there is always a familiar figure looming in both the streets and the skies. Pigeons. These small creatures are often overlooked and dismissed. However, these extraordinary birds are more valuable than we realise. With a history spanning hundreds of years, these birds have been crucial allies in times of need. Nowadays, pigeons are simply disregarded. We will explore the impact that pigeons have on us and the role that they play in our society. So we asked people, what is the first word you think of when you think of pigeons?
Annoying.
Town. Flaming nuisance.
Menace.
Pigeons are a very controversial animal, with the majority of the public holding a negative perspective on them. But why are there so many of them in our towns and cities today? John has been a pigeon racer for many years, and life as a pigeon racer means a life of dedication, devoting countless hours into caring and training these birds.
My dad had them when I was a young lad, and then we ended up finding a pigeon that some kids was throwing at it and knocked it out of the nest. So my two lads picked him up, put him in a box, fetched him here. Start off with old birds in April, then the old birds will race then till about July, and then the young birds start then middle of July till about second week of September. But the competition in Warrington is pretty tough compared to other places because a lot of people make money through winning. They've got the edge on us and they breed more pigeons, so to win round here is pretty good.
Yet beyond the thrill of the race, there are also people who advocate for the protection and care of pigeons. Lisa has dedicated her time to running Spirit Pigeon Rescue UK, which aims to rescue, rehabilitate and rehome these birds. Lisa currently keeps 26 pigeons in her home and explains why she cares so deeply for these birds.
I found my first pigeon on the floor, thought about taking her to a rescue, but they wouldn't take pigeons. So Google was my friend and I found out they actually make really good pets. So I took her to the vet and we helped her through. She had a damaged wing and a damaged leg. We couldn't trace her owner, we had no way of knowing. So she became my pet. Feral pigeons they're exactly that, they're feral, like a feral cat or a feral dog. You'd want to look after it. Essentially, feral pigeons come from domesticated birds that were then abandoned. Yeah, the sad thing is they're seen as vermin and it's all our fault.
Yeah, people do judge them as flying rats, but these are nothing like what you see on the streets. They look the same, but they're not treated the same. To us, they're athletes.
They're just lovely to be around, really soothing birds to be around. They don't make too much noise and they are fairly easy to look after, so they're a pleasure to have.
As opposed to feral pigeon, these are treated for worms, canker, respiratory. They've got to have proper respiratory stuff. They get jabbed every 12 months.
You know, vet bills can get out of control. The cost of medications, the cost of feed, but the more pigeons you have in the hospital cages, you can spend a couple of hours doing all the medicating. If they are domestic creatures who will hang around humans because that's what's familiar to them, we need to help them. And sadly, there's so many signs in city centres, do not feed the pigeons and everything because they don't want poop everywhere. But I think it is our duty to look after them. And if we do find one on the floor, don't just kick it out of the way and ignore it. Let's try and help them.
From these two perspectives, we see two sides of their shared connection with pigeons. As for government officials, vets and some members of the public, their presence poses a greater issue and they can pose a huge problem in our towns and cities. We have arranged to speak with Helen, an officer for the Environment Agency, about the issues that pigeons pose in terms of the environment and infrastructure.
We do see a lot of populations of pigeons, particularly in urban centres where there's a lot of litter, which naturally attracts them to public realms. Whereas I very much do see them as a pest. Some kind of people will encourage pigeons through kind of feeding them in city centres, but a lot of people I come across in my job do very much have that perception that they are a pest, that there's very kind of little benefit from having them around in our ecosystems. So they just seem to be growing in size and population, so from kind of taking over city centres or taking over other kind of prominent roles of other species, I think they're definitely becoming more dominant, which is a sign of being a pest.
Pigeons will be in more urban areas, so they will be on the streets and they will be around people that are eating a lot more than other animals. The most common health issues that I have dealt with pigeons is cryptococcus and candida. They can make pigeons very poorly. they will scrounge for food more, so they'll eat more food that is from bins and they won't have a healthy, balanced diet.